Hi, I'm Michelle Sheran-Andrews, and in this video I'll talk about the Corner Solutions help sheet for Econ 410. Before reading the help sheet, make sure you can recall the definitions and concepts listed here. This list and the others in the video is posted on Sakai. Now you're ready to read the help sheet. After you do that, be sure you can explain and identify all of the concepts listed here. This is part of the understanding. After that, you're ready to apply these concepts. Let's get some practice by working through this problem. If a consumer chooses to spend all of her income on just one of the two goods, which of the following is necessarily true? Let's put the good on the y-axis and the bad on the x-axis. Assuming diminishing marginal utility, which for the bad would be increasing marginal disutility, indifference curve slope up away from the bad. Now let's add a budget constraint. In this case, the highest indifference curve that the consumer can reach would be one that's just hitting the budget line at the Y corner, only choosing to spend her income on good Y. However, this doesn't have to be the case. It's a true statement that if one of the goods is a bad good and the other is a good good, that the consumer will only buy one good, but the reverse statement is not necessarily true. If we have a corner solution, there might be another reason. For example, the other good might be a neutral good. Let's say that x is the neutral and y is the good. Now indifference curves are horizontal. Again, we add a budget constraint and see that the highest indifference curve that's attainable in this case is again the one that's on the budget line, but at the y corner. So if one of the goods is good and the other is a neutral good, yes, the consumer will only choose to spend all of her income on the good good. However, we might have a corner solution not because one good is a neutral, but because the other good is a bad, because one good is a bad. All right, another instance where we might have a corner solution is the case of perfect substitutes. With perfect substitutes, we'll have a corner solution. Here I've shown a corner solution where the consumer chooses to spend all of her income on just good Y. So it's true that when we have perfect substitutes, we get corner solutions, but corner solutions don't necessarily mean we have perfect substitutes. What is true is statement C. In all of these cases, the other good must generate less marginal utility per dollar spent. In the case of a bad, that's because the marginal utility of the bad is negative, which makes its bang per buck necessarily less than the positive bang per buck from the good. In the case of a neutral, that's because the marginal utility of the neutral good is zero, which makes the bang per buck necessarily less than the positive bang per buck from the good good. And in the case of perfect substitutes, the bang per buck is necessarily less for the good that is not being consumed. Let's get some more practice by working one more problem. Assume preferences are complete, continuous, transitive, monotonic, and concave. Given a downward sloping linear budget line, which of the following statements is necessarily true? Let's start with a graph. This graph shows a linear downward sloping budget line and preferences that are concave. Let's identify the point of tangency, where the MRS equals the MRT. Here it is. Here's a point where n indifference curve is just tangent to the budget line, and so the slope of the indifference curve equals the slope of the budget line. However, this is not the highest indifference curve that's attainable. Let me show you. In fact, we see that the highest indifference curve that's attainable is this curve right here, and the utility maximizing bundle is going to be at a corner. At the utility maximizing bundle, the MRS is not equal to the MRT because the indifference curve is steeper than the budget line, so that means the MRS is bigger than the MRT. Now, that's not the only possibility. Let me show you another graph. Here we see that, again, the point of tangency where the MRS equals the MRT is not on the highest indifference curve. Here we see that once again, the point of tangency where the MRS equals the MRT is not on the highest indifference curve. And again, we see that the utility maximizing bundle is a corner solution. But unlike the first graph, now my corner is only choosing a bundle with good Y. At this point, the indifference curve is flatter than the budget line, which makes the MRS less than the MRT. The answer here is C. When preferences are complete, continuous, transitive, monotonic, and concave, if the budget line is linear and downward sloping, then the point satisfying the usual tangency condition will be on a lower indifference curve and so have lower total utility than the utility maximizing point. Now it's time to go beyond the surface of the help sheet by moving to analyzing and evaluating. Here's a list of things to work on for that. Lastly, move up to create by formulating the utility functions represented here. Remember that you'll discuss these in recitation with your TA and classmates. And that concludes the corner solution video.